The video hit the wedding group chat 7 minutes before my bride was supposed to walk down the aisle. By then, I had two choices. I could stay at the altar and let 200 people watch my face while Sloane accused me of being the reason she had to run. Or I could leave and let them decide that walking away proved she had told the truth. That was the trap. She had put me in a room full of witnesses before I even knew I was on trial. The chapel was packed with people who wanted one clean villain. Her mother was crying into a lace handkerchief. My father sat stiff in the front row, staring at the floor the way men do when pain has nowhere decent to go. The pastor held the microphone against his chest, as if even God needed a moment before speaking. Then Sloane appeared on every screen. Her makeup was perfect. Her voice was not. "I know this is humiliating," she whispered. "But I can't marry a man who makes me feel trapped and then calls it love." A sound moved through the guests. No shock. Recognition. Or worse, permission. My best man grabbed my elbow. "Say something, man." But every truth I had already sounded like an excuse. I had never locked a door. I had never checked her phone. The account she called Control was the one she had asked me to manage after she emptied hers twice and blamed the panic on me. But standing there in a tuxedo, with my bride crying on a screen, I looked guilty before I opened my mouth. Then the chapel doors opened. Mara walked in. Sloane's younger sister. Her maid of honor. The one person in that room who should have hated me most. She came straight down the aisle and lifted something between two fingers. My missing wedding ring. She stole this before she recorded that video, Mara said. No one moved.
You knew this was coming.
Then Mara looked at the screen. And I helped her lie once, she said.
Now
I'm not doing
knows.
it twice. The pastor lowered the microphone. A small squeal came through the speakers, sharp enough to make the first 3 rows flinch. Mara did not. She stopped at the first step of the altar with my ring still raised.
Where should
Sloane's
A do
mother
it?
stood
After
so
A
fast,
signs
her
something he
handkerchief
can't take
slipped to the
back?
floor. Mara, Linda
signed
said,
the
do not do
contract."
this here. Mara finally looked at her. Where should I do it?
You forged
After
my signature.
Ethan signs something he can't take back? The word signs cut
You
through the
asked me to
fog.
sign one
I had
more
signed
document.
plenty of things for Sloane. Vendor deposits.
Before
Joint
the
account
reception.
forms. A lease application for the townhouse, she said. Would feel like a real beginning. 3 days ago, she had asked me to sign one more document before the reception. A simple transfer, she called it. Just moving part of the house fund into an account under her name because the mortgage broker wanted everything clean. I had not questioned it. That had been my role. I made things easier. I sanded every sharp edge down until there was nothing left of my own hand. Caleb's grip tightened on my elbow. Ethan? I eased away from him. The chapel no longer felt like a holy place. It felt like a courtroom where nobody had been asked to swear an oath. On the screen closest to me, Sloane kept crying without sound. Someone had muted the video, but her face still performed. Trembling mouth. Wet eyes. The look of a woman escaping a locked room. Only there had been no locked room. There had been Sunday grocery lists. Her mother's birthday dinners. Me waiting in parking lots because Sloane forgot her wallet again. Me saying it was fine because I did not want one more evening to become a trial. My father rose from the front pew. Son, he said quietly. Maybe we should step outside. I knew what he meant. Step
I never meant
outside
to hurt
before you
you, I
make it
swear.
worse. My mouth opened with the old sentence
I
already
saw it
forming.
before you even
I'm
spoke.
sorry. Not because I had
Don't.
done anything wrong. Because the room was
You
tense.
have no idea what
Because
he did
Linda
to
was
your
crying.
sister.
Because apologies had always been the cheapest way to buy silence. Mara saw it before I said
know
it.
where I found
Don't.
this.
One word. It landed
In
harder
her
than a
robe.
hand on my chest.
So-
Linda moved into the aisle. You have
She
no
was
idea what he
scared.
did to your sister. Mara
Scared of
held up the
him,
ring a little
or
higher.
scared he wouldn't
I
react
know
the
where
way
I
she
found
needed.
this. In her robe, Linda snapped. So what? She was scared. Scared of him, Mara said, or scared he wouldn't react the way she needed. Linda's face changed. Not much. Just a blink that came too late. Behind her, Aunt Tessa already had her phone out.
Please, we
Some
need
people
to
smelled
go.
disaster and called it concern. Please, the pastor said, but he did not know whom he was begging. Mara stepped closer and opened her palm. The ring sat there, plain and gold, engraved with the date Sloane had chosen. I had worn it only for the rehearsal, just long enough for Sloane to laugh and tell me I looked officially claimed. At the time, I thought she meant loved. Take it, Mara said. I did not move.
Okay.
If I took the ring, it would look like anger. If I refused it, it would look like shame.
Not yet.
Every choice had been made dirty before I touched it. Mara understood. She closed her fingers around the ring again. Okay, not yet. It was such a small mercy that I almost hated her for it. Then she turned toward the guests.
Nobody sends it to someone who
Her
isn't
shoulders
already
were
in this
stiff,
room.
but her voice stayed level. Nobody posts another word about Ethan, she said. Nobody clips that video. Nobody sends it to someone who isn't already in this room. Emile rose at once. Linda let out a broken laugh. You do not get to manage this room. No, Mara said. Sloane already tried that. The chapel went quiet again. A first crack opened. Not in Sloane. Not yet. In the story, for 7 minutes, everyone had known exactly what they were watching. A bride escaping. A groom exposed. A wedding saved from becoming a mistake. Now they had a ring that should not have been in Sloane's robe. A sister who had turned against the bride, and a sentence nobody knew where to put. I helped her lie once. My collar pressed against my throat. The white flower pinned to my lapel had started to sag under the chapel lights. Mara looked at it, then at me. You need to come with me, she said. Linda stepped between us. Absolutely not. Mara did not raise her voice. Mom, if you stop him, you become part of this. That landed because people were watching. Linda stepped back. I should have asked where we were going, what Sloane had taken, what Mara had hidden, but my eyes returned to the muted screen. Sloane's face had frozen on the last frame. Her eyes were wet and lifted. Her mouth was half open around the word I could no longer hear. Trapped. I had spent 2 years trying not to make her feel that way. Now I was the one who could not leave without confirming the lie. Mara moved toward the side hall, still holding my ring. At the doorway, she paused. I'm not asking you to trust me, she said. You shouldn't. Then she looked back at the chapel, at the phones, at the guests, at the woman on the screen who had left but somehow still controlled the room. I'm asking you not to give her the sentence she came here to get. My father said my name. Caleb said it too. Linda whispered something that sounded like a warning. I stepped down from the altar. Not toward Mara. Not away from Sloane. Just down. For the first time that morning, I moved before the room decided what it meant. And behind me, 200 people watched the story change shape. Mara did not take me far. Only through the side door beside the altar, past a narrow hallway that smelled of lilies and old carpet, into the small room where the pastor kept extra hymnals, extension cords, and bottled water for funerals that lasted too long. She shut the door but did not lock it. I noticed that. After Sloane's video, after the word trapped had been dropped into every phone in the chapel, even a locked door could become part of someone else's story. Mara set my wedding ring on top of a stack of hymnals, where I could see it and still choose not to touch it. Outside, voices gathered and broke apart. My father was speaking to someone. Linda was crying louder now that she had an audience. Caleb kept saying, "Give him a minute," with the same helpless rhythm people use when they do not know what minute they were asking for. Mara pulled a bottle of water from a cardboard case and twisted off the cap before handing it to me. I did not drink. My fingers were busy with the cufflink on my left sleeve. I kept turning it until the silver edge bit into my thumb. You're bleeding, she said. I stopped. A thin red line had opened near the nail. Nothing dramatic. Still, Mara reached for a paper towel from the counter, wet one corner under the sink, and held it out. I took it because refusing felt rude. The reflex had roots that deep. Even while my bride accused me in front of everyone we knew, some part of me still worried about being impolite to her sister. Mara watched my hand press the towel around my thumb. That, she said. What? The way you just did that. Did what? You almost apologized for bleeding. I laughed once. It sounded wrong in that little room. I wasn't going to. You were. I wanted to argue, but the sentence had already been waiting behind my teeth. Sorry. Sorry for the pause. Sorry for the mess. Sorry for making people uncomfortable with the fact that I had been cut. It had started long before Sloan. In my father's house, anger was treated like a spill on the floor. Clean it fast. Do not ask who knocked the glass over. Do not make guests step around it. When my mother left for a week and came back with no explanation, my father took us to pancakes and told me, "Don't press her, Ethan. Just let it settle." When my uncle called me weak for quitting football after a concussion, my father drove home with both hands tight on the wheel and said, "You know how he is." When my first boss took credit for a schedule I had rebuilt from scratch, I told myself the work mattered more than the name attached to it. Let it settle. You know how people are. Be bigger. I had mistaken those sentences for character. Sloan had mistaken them for opportunity. The first time she called me controlling, we were standing in the parking lot behind a wine bar in Westlake after her friend's birthday dinner. She had lost her keys, then found them in her coat pocket, then insisted she was fine to drive even though she had knocked over a glass of sangria. I said, "Let me take you home." She smiled until her friend Dana came out behind us. Then Sloane's face changed. "Ethan doesn't like when I go places without him," she said lightly. Like a joke. Dana had laughed. I had not. In the car, Sloane leaned her head against the window and said, "Don't be sensitive. I saved you from looking jealous." I apologized before we reached the freeway. Not because I was jealous. Because her voice had gone cold. And cold was always the weather before a storm. Mara leaned against the counter now, arms folded, eyes lowered to the ring on the hymnals. "I heard about that night," she said. My hand stilled around the paper towel. She told it differently. I know. The words were simple, but they had weight. Not comfort. Not defense. Weight. I finally drank the water. It tasted like plastic and dust. How many versions did she tell? Mara's mouth pressed into a line. Enough that people stopped asking for details. Sloane had that talent. She did not need to build a whole lie. She only had to give people a doorway and let them furnish the room themselves. Ethan worries when I'm out late. Ethan handles all the money. Ethan gets quiet when I disagree. Each sentence had a clean surface. Each one could be true if you shaved off the context. Yes, I worried when she drove drunk. Yes, I handled the money after she cried over overdraft fees and asked me to make a system she would not have to think about. Yes, I got quiet when disagreement turned into her threatening to leave, then blaming me for not stopping her gently enough. Quiet had been my shield. Somehow, in Sloane's hands, it became a weapon pointed back at me. A knock hit the door. Not hard, 2 careful taps. "Ethan," my father called. "Open up." My body moved before I decided anything. Paper towel in one hand, water bottle in the other, I stepped toward the door. Mara shifted in front of me. "Wait. He's my father. I know. He's worried. Probably." That irritated me more than it should have. "Then why are you blocking the door?" "Because if you open it right now, you'll make him feel better before you know what it costs you." The handle turned once. Mara did not touch it. She only stood there, still as a post in the ground. My father said, softer, "Son, Linda is asking if you'll just say you never meant to scare Sloane. It would calm everyone down." There it was. The sentence Sloane came to collect. Not an admission. Exactly. Nothing a decent person could object to in the moment. I never meant to scare her. Soft, human, dangerous. My thumb began bleeding through the paper towel. Mara looked at it, then at my face. "You see it?" she asked. I hated that I did. Behind the door, my father waited for me to be the kind of son who made the room easier for everyone else. Behind him, Linda waited for a sentence she could repeat. Behind her, 200 guests waited to decide whether my calm was proof of innocence or practice. I placed the water bottle on the counter. My hand was not steady, but it was mine. "Dad," I said through the door. "I'm not saying anything yet." There was a pause. A disappointed pause. I knew its shape. Then my father said, "This isn't like you." No, that was the problem. It was exactly like me to open the door, apologize, and call it peace. Mara's shoulders lowered by half an inch. She turned back to the hymnals, picked up my ring, and wrapped it in the clean half of the paper towel before setting it back down. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. Her fingers stayed on the towel a second too long. "Because she needed you to be predictable." "That's not an answer." "No," Mara said. "It's the part I can say before you see the rest." Outside, someone raised their voice. Linda, maybe, or Aunt Tessa. The words were muffled, but Sloane's name came through clearly. Then mine, then the ugly pause people leave before saying controlling. Mara reached into the pocket hidden in the side seam of her maid of honor dress and took out Sloane's phone. Its screen was dark. She did not hand it to me yet. "She didn't just record that video this morning," Mara said. The skin along my neck tightened. Mara's face held steady, but the guilt was there now, plain and unpretty. "There are drafts," she said. "And one of them has your apology written before you ever gave it." Mara plugged Sloane's phone into a charger she took from a drawer full of old church bulletins. The screen stayed black for 3 seconds. 4. 5. In that small room, the waiting felt louder than the chapel. I stood beside the sink with a paper towel around my thumb and my wedding ring on top of the hymnals, wrapped like something recovered from a crime scene instead of something meant to be blessed. "Before you show me anything," I said, "tell me why you have her phone." Mara did not flinch. "She gave it to me." "When?" "This morning. In the bridal room." My stomach tightened. The bridal room was only 40 feet away. Sloane had been close enough to stop the wedding without burning the whole room down. "She told me her battery was dying," Mara said. "Asked me to send the video if she texted the word blue." "Blue?" It meant she had made it out. "Made it out," I repeated. Mara's mouth pulled to one side. Her words. The phone lit. Sloane's face filled the lock screen. A photo from our engagement party. Her chin tucked against my shoulder. My hand visible at her waist. A normal picture, unless you knew how many stories could hide inside a smile. Mara entered the passcode. "She gave me that too," she said. "In case I needed to delete anything quickly." That sentence did more damage than the video. Delete anything quickly. As if my life were a spill on a countertop. Mara opened a notes app. There were folders. Wedding, vows, vendor contacts, honeymoon, private. She did not touch private. Instead, she opened wedding. At the top was a note titled, "Final video send if needed." The date beside it was 3 weeks old. My knees did not buckle. They simply forgot their job for half a second. Mara set the phone on the counter between us. The first line read, "I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I refused to start a marriage by disappearing inside Ethan's version of love." The words were close to what Sloane had said in the video. Not exact. Cleaner. More polished. Practiced until pain could pass for courage. Mara scrolled. "I'm afraid if I say this to him alone, he'll make me feel guilty enough to stay." I pressed the paper towel harder around my thumb. Mara stopped. "There's more. I can read." "I know." She swallowed. "I just don't want you to read it like it's true because it sounds careful." That was the first useful warning anyone had given me all morning. The next paragraph was worse. "Ethan controls money by calling it responsibility. He controls my plans by calling it concern. He controls the room by staying calm until everyone thinks I'm the emotional one." Each sentence had a hook in it because each sentence touched something real and twisted it. I had managed the account. I had asked her not to drive drunk. I did stay calm when she cried in public because if I matched her, people would stare harder. Sloane had not invented a monster from nothing. She had taken the best-behaved parts of me and arranged them into one. Mara scrolled to the bottom. There, under a line of blank space, were 3 bullet points. "If Ethan apologizes, save it. If he gets angry, say this is why I waited. If he says nothing, tell Mom silence is how he punishes me." The little room tilted. My father's voice came back through the door in memory. Just say you never meant to scare Sloane. It would calm everyone down. A sentence already prepared a place for itself in her plan. Mara took the phone back and opened the messages. I'm showing you what she sent me, she said. Not everything. Some of it is between her and other people, and I'm not going to pretend this is clean just because she did something wrong. It should have made me trust her. Instead, it reminded me she knew where the lines were and had crossed at least one before. The message thread was between Mara and Sloane. The last text from Sloane had come at 10:14 a.m. Blue. 7 minutes later, the group chat received the video. Above that, at 9:52, Sloane had written, "He's going to look calm. Don't let that fool you. Calm is what he does when he wants everyone to think I'm crazy." Mara had not replied. Atnoa, chinchizech shichinch. If he asks where the ring is, say I had it for photos. Atnoa, chinchizech shishase. Actually, don't say anything unless Mom asks. My eyes moved to the hymnals. The ring was still inside the paper towel. Not jewelry anymore. Instruction. Mara scrolled up again. There was a photo sent at 9:31. My ring lay on white satin beside a tube of lipstick and Sloane's perfume bottle. Under the picture, Sloane had written, "Symbolism matters." I made a sound that was not a laugh. Mara closed her eyes for half a second. "That one," she said, "that's when I should have stopped it." I did not answer. Pain can be easier when it comes from the person who planned it. There is a shape to that. A direction. But pain from someone who stood nearby and waited has no clean place to land. The chapel door opened somewhere beyond the hall. A wave of voices spilled closer, then faded as someone shut it again. Mara moved quickly. She took a small legal pad from a shelf beneath the counter and started writing dates. "What are you doing?" "Making a timeline before anyone touches this phone." "You do this often?" "I work for a family law office," she said. "Enough to know panic ruins evidence." Evidence. The word made everything heavier. Mara wrote, 9:31 photo of ring. 9:52 calm message. 9:55 instruction about ring. 10:14 blue. 10:21 video in group chat. She tore off the sheet, then stopped before handing it to me. "You need to call a lawyer before you respond to anyone." "I don't have a lawyer." "You need one now." The sentence should have sounded dramatic. It did not. It sounded practical, which made it worse. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I did not want to touch it. It buzzed again. Mara watched my hand hover near my jacket. "You don't have to read it." "I do." "No, you want to know how bad it is. That's different." She was right, and I hated the accuracy. Still, I took out the phone. There were 27 notifications. Wedding group chat. My cousin. Caleb. A number I did not recognize. 3 missed calls from my father. At the top was a direct message from Sloane. For 1 second, I thought it might be remorse. I opened it. "Please don't make this uglier than it already is. If you ever loved me, just tell them you're sorry for making me feel trapped." There it was. Not an apology from her. A leash thrown back into the room she had abandoned. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. The old answer rose so fast it frightened me. "I'm sorry." 2 words. Small enough to seem harmless. Soft enough to make my father exhale. Clean enough for Sloane to cut from context and place under her video like a caption. Mara did not reach for my phone. She did not tell me what to do. She only picked up my ring, still wrapped in paper towel, and set it beside Sloane's phone. 2 objects on a church counter. One she had taken. One she had used. I locked my screen without replying. My breathing changed. Not steadier. Just mine. Mara nodded once, like she had witnessed something private and did not intend to claim credit for it. Then Sloane's phone buzzed. Both of us turned toward it. A new message appeared across the top of the screen from Linda. "He won't apologize." "What do we use now?" Mara read the message twice. She did not touch the phone for a few seconds. Neither did I. The words sat on the screen with Linda's name above them, plain and ugly in a way grief never was. Grief does not ask what to use next. A knock came at the door before either of us spoke. This time it was not careful. Open this door, Linda said. Mara slipped the legal pad under the hymnals, but she left Sloane's phone on the counter. She did not hide the ring either. That mattered. Hidden things had already done enough damage. Mara, Linda said again. You are embarrassing your sister. Mara's jaw tightened. That was the trap inside the trap. If she opened the door and accused her mother, she became the jealous younger sister ruining a wedding. If she stayed quiet, the message stayed private, while Sloane's video stayed public. I reached past her and opened the door myself. Linda stood in the hall with Caleb behind her, my father at his shoulder, Aunt Tessa with her phone held chest high, and Pastor Reed hovering like a man trying not to witness what he was witnessing. 5 people. Enough for a rumor to put on shoes. Linda's eyes went first to Mara, then to me, then to the counter where Sloane's phone lay beside my ring. Give me that, she said. Mara did not move. No. That is your sister's private property. And that is Ethan's ring. Linda's face hardened at the word Ethan, as if my name had become an inconvenience. Caleb leaned into the doorway. What's going on? No one answered him. Aunt Tessa lifted her phone a little higher. For everyone's safety, maybe we should record this. Safety. There it was again. A clean word with a blade inside it. My father turned on her. Put the phone down. Tessa blinked, surprised that he had found a voice. Linda stepped into the room anyway. Sloane is terrified, and you are all standing here picking through her phone like lawyers. I told him to call one, Mara said. That made Linda smile. Not warmly. Victoriously. You hear that? She said, turning toward Caleb and my father. 7 minutes after my daughter says she escaped a controlling relationship, her sister has him hidden in a back room talking about lawyers. The hallway changed temperature. Caleb's eyes shifted to me. Not accusing. Worse. Unsure. My father rubbed the side of his mouth, the way he did when he wanted a conversation to disappear. Pastor Reed said, perhaps we should all take a breath. Linda did not want breath. She wanted an audience. She stepped back into the hall and raised her voice, just enough for the people near the chapel door to hear. Ethan, if you never meant to make Sloane feel unsafe, why can't you say that? Unsafe. The word traveled faster than her body. Someone in the chapel repeated it. A woman near the guest book whispered, she said unsafe? My hand went to my pocket before I remembered my phone was there. Sloane's message still waited unanswered, asking for the exact sentence her mother now tried to pull out of me in front of witnesses. Please don't make this uglier. Just tell them you're sorry. Mara saw my hand and shook her head once. Linda saw that too. Oh, she said. So now Mara speaks for you. The accusation landed where she aimed it. Caleb stepped back from the doorway. Aunt Tessa's phone rose again. Mara's mouth opened. For a second, I thought she would say everything. The blue text. The draft. The message from Linda. The ring on satin with symbolism matters beneath it. But Linda turned toward her first. And before you perform honesty, Linda said, remember you were the one Sloane trusted this morning. You sent the video. Mara went still. The words did not prove she was guilty. They proved she was involved. In public, that was often enough. Tessa whispered, oh Mara. My father looked from her to me. His face folded with a new kind of worry. The hallway was no longer a hallway. It was an aisle, with no altar at the end. Mara swallowed the sentence she had been about to say. Linda had found her muzzle, and I hated that part of me was relieved. If Mara could not speak, maybe no one would expect me to either. Maybe I could keep holding still, until the day ended, and let lawyers and phones and other people's courage sort out what was left. Then Caleb said, quietly, Ethan, did you know she felt unsafe? That one hurt, because Caleb had seen me drive Sloane home when she was drunk. He had seen me leave my own birthday dinner. Because Sloane cried in the restroom and said crowds made her feel judged. He had once joked that I treated her panic like a second job. Now he was asking whether that job had been a cage. My mouth filled with the old answer. I'm sorry if. Mara's hand hit the counter. Not hard enough to be dramatic. Just hard enough to stop the sentence. Everyone heard the first two words. Linda's eyes sharpened. There was satisfaction in them. Not relief. Satisfaction. That was when I finally understood the public wound Sloane had made for me. It was not only that people believed her. It was that every decent instinct I had could be turned into proof that she was right. If I apologized, I admitted it. If I defended myself, I sounded dangerous. If I stayed quiet, I looked cold. The pastor's microphone squealed from the chapel. Someone had picked it up or brushed against it. The sound pulled more guests toward the back. Faces gathered near the open hall. Dana from the wine bar. Sloane's cousin Marcy. Two men from my work who had brought their wives. A woman from Sloane's book club who once told me I was so patient, like patience was a diagnosis. Linda raised her chin. Say it, she said, softer now, because soft looked better in front of people. Say you're sorry for making her feel trapped. Not unsafe this time. Trapped. Sloane's word. The one from the video. The one meant to make a husband sound like a locked door. My father closed his eyes. Caleb stared at the floor. Mara gripped the counter beside Sloane's phone, her knuckles pale, wanting to speak and trapped by the fact that her own hands were not clean. So I did the only thing I could do without giving Sloane the sentence. I turned to Pastor Reed. Is the microphone still on? He glanced down at the device in his hand. No. I don't believe so. Good. Then I faced Linda, Caleb, my father, Aunt Tessa, and the line of guests pretending not to listen. I'm not answering a public accusation in a hallway. Linda's mouth tightened. Because you can't. Because she planned for me too. That did not clear my name. It did not save the day. It only made the wound visible. Caleb looked up. My father did too. Aunt Tessa stopped recording, or at least lowered the phone enough to pretend she had. Linda's eyes flicked, just for a second, toward Sloane's phone on the counter. Mara noticed. So did I. Then the wedding group chat lit up on my phone again. A new video loaded. Sloane was sitting in the back seat of a car, veil gone now, eyes redder, voice steadier. If Ethan is showing people my private messages, she said, please understand that this is exactly what I was afraid of. Around me, phones began to buzz. Onebi-wan. Again. The second video did what the first one had not. It made the hallway move. The first video had kept the guests in their pews. The second pulled them into the hall, close enough for their whispers to have faces. Dana was there, one hand over her mouth. Caleb blocked a cousin from stepping into the small room, but even he kept glancing at me like friendship had suddenly required proof. Phones rose. Guests stepped closer. Someone near the chapel doors said my name with the careful disgust people use when they are trying to sound concerned instead of entertained. Mara reached for Sloane's phone, then stopped herself. Don't, I said. I was going to. I know. She pulled her hand back as if the phone were hot. Linda turned toward the open doorway. He has her phone? Mara stepped in front of the counter. Back up. Maraquin. Back up. Her voice cracked on the second word. Pastor Reed opened a door across the hall. There is a preparation room. Use it. It was barely a room. A table, a sink, a rolling rack of choir robes, boxes of communion cups, and one narrow window painted shut. Mara pushed me inside first, then brought both phones and the ring. She closed the door with her hip. No lock. Good. My hands were shaking enough that the cufflink tapped against the sink when I leaned over it. Mara turned on the faucet, waited for the water to run cold, and wet a white cloth with chapel embroidered in faded blue thread. Give me your hand. I can do it. I know. She held out the cloth anyway. The cut near my thumb had opened again. Red slid toward my palm. Mara wrapped the cloth around it and pressed once, firm enough to hurt. I pulled in a breath. Sorry, she said. Then her face changed because the word had come too easily. I almost smiled. Almost. Don't use that one unless you mean it. Her fingers stilled around my hand. Behind the door, voices rose and fell. Linda was talking to Pastor Reed. Caleb said something sharp. My father answered in a tone I had not heard from him since I was a child. I mean it, Mara said. For the cloth? For more than the cloth. I pulled my hand away. She let me. That small space mattered. All morning, people had been grabbing my arm, my name, my face, my reaction. Mara was the first person to let go when I pulled back. I unpinned the crushed white flower from my jacket. One petal stuck to the satin with a smear of blood from my thumb. I set it beside the sink. Mara watched it fall. She told me you hated being questioned, she said. That's convenient. I believed some of it. The words took the air out of the small space. The faucet kept running behind her. Neither of us reached to turn it off. Not because they surprised me, because they did not. Mara folded the bloody cloth in half, hiding the stain as if manners still had a job. The night at the wine bar, she said. Dana called me after. Sloane said you wouldn't let her drive. She said you embarrassed her. She was drunk. I know that now. You knew it then. Her eyes lifted. No careful exit. No sister loyalty. No soft version. Yes, she said. I knew enough. My throat tightened. She gripped the edge of the sink. I covered for her once. Dana asked if Sloane exaggerated. I said you could be intense when you were worried. The sentence landed worse than an insult. Intensa. A word with clean shoes. A word that could walk into any conversation and leave mud behind. I didn't say controlling, Mara added. No, I said. You just opened the door and let everyone else carry furniture in. Her face went pale. Good. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Because something in me needed proof that my words could hit a wall and still be allowed to exist. Mara nodded once. That's fair. Don't make it easy. I'm not. You are. You're standing there taking it like that fixes it. Her mouth opened, then closed. Outside, Sloane's second video played from someone's phone, muffled by wood. Exactly what I was afraid of. The phrase slipped under the door. Mara turned toward it, then back to me. I didn't stay quiet only because I was afraid of my family, she said. That would make me sound better than I was. I waited. Part of me wanted her to be wrong about you, she said. And part of me wanted her to be right. That one found bone. Why? Because if she was wrong, then I had watched her hurt someone and done nothing. Her voice thinned. And if you were what she said, then my silence made sense. The old Ethan would have helped her out of that sentence. He would have said she was under pressure, that Sloane was convincing, that families did strange things to each other. He would have made her guilt easier to carry. I picked up the bent flower and rolled the stem between my fingers. You don't get to use me to forgive yourself, I said. Mara's shoulders dropped. No, she said. I don't. The answer was too quiet to be performative. That made it harder to hate. She reached for the cloth again, slower this time. Your hand is still bleeding. I should have refused. Instead, I let her wrap it once more. Her fingers were careful now. Not intimate. Careful. There was a difference. And the difference felt dangerous because I noticed it. She tied the cloth around my thumb in a knot small enough not to show if I tucked my hand at my side. Then she stepped back before the space between us could become anything else. You should not have had to be alone out there, she said. No defense. No plan. Just the thing nobody in the chapel had said. My chest tightened so suddenly I had to turn toward the sink. Mara did not touch my back. That was the kindness. I wanted, with a force that embarrassed me, to lean back into the relief of not being interpreted for one full minute. Mara felt the shift. She moved away first. Ethan. I know. I faced her. The narrow room held the bent flower, the wrapped ring, 2 phones, and the kind of almost that could ruin everything if either of us tried to make it noble. I said the line before pain could dress it up as need. If anything ever happens between us, it can't start in the wreckage she made. Mara closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet but steady. Good, she said. Not wounded. Not insulted. Good. Then she picked up Sloane's phone and placed it in my uninjured hand. Then start with this, she said. Not with me. The phone buzzed as my fingers closed around it. A new message from Sloane appeared at the top. Mara, tell him if he gives back the ring and apologizes now, I won't mention the house fund. Mara read Sloane's message without blinking. The preparation room shrank around those words. For a few seconds, the faucet was the only sound. Water ran into the basin, hit the metal drain, and made a steady noise that belonged to some other morning. I reached over and turned it off. The house fund, I said. Mara kept the phone between us on the table. How much? 48,000, give or take. Her face tightened. It was supposed to be for the townhouse, I said. Down payment, inspections, furniture, the things Sloane said made a marriage feel real before it legally was. Whose account? Joint savings. Who funded it? Mostly me. Can you prove that? The question should have offended me. It didn't. A life could change that fast. 10 minutes ago, the money had been a future kitchen. Now it was a number that needed proof. My payroll deposits, I said. Bank transfers. A bonus from last year. Mara picked up her own phone. You need legal advice, but not from me. Because you work for a law office? Because I'm her sister. Because I touched the phone. Because I sent the video. Because if I become your solution, she'll make me the scandal. She scrolled to a contact named June Ellis. She's not from my office, Mara said. She handles family and civil disputes. I don't want to drag a stranger into my wedding. Your wedding is gone, Ethan. Now you're trying to keep the wreckage from becoming paperwork. She put the call on speaker after June answered. Mara gave facts in order. Wedding. Video. Accusation. Ring. Phone. Drafts. House fund threat. June listened without gasping. When Mara finished, June asked, Ethan, yes. Have you replied to Sloane in writing? No. Good. Do not apologize. Do not explain. Do not say you never meant to scare her. Do not say you understand why she felt trapped. Any soft sentence can be cut and used as a hard admission. My eyes moved to the wrapped ring. June continued, do not give back the ring without documenting where it was found. Do not touch her phone more than necessary. Photograph the message about the house fund from another device. If anyone asks for a public statement, say this, I will respond through counsel. The sentence felt too cold for a man in a tuxedo with blood on his cuff. But cold was sometimes just clean. Mara wrote it on the back of a communion supply form. I will respond through counsel. June asked about the joint account. I opened my banking app with my uninjured hand. The password took 2 tries. The balance loaded. Available balance, $6,218.44. Pending transfer, $41,500. Transfer scheduled, 3 p.m. Recipient, S. Quinn Personal Savings. Mara leaned over the table, then stopped before coming too close. Can you cancel it? My finger hovered over the pending line. Cancel transfer. A simple rectangle. Ridiculous, almost. The kind of button that should not be powerful enough to change a marriage, a lawsuit, and a room full of relatives in one press. June said, if it's your joint account and you have authority, cancel it now. Screenshot before and after. I took screenshots. Then I pressed confirm. Transfer canceled. No music played. No one clapped. The world did not reward a man for protecting what he should have protected earlier. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Sloane, where are you? Then, do not touch that account. Then, Ethan, don't make me show them what you're really like. June's voice sharpened through the speaker. Do not respond. I placed the phone face down. My hand wanted to turn it back over. Calm her down. Clarify. Make the weather pass. Mara slid the written sentence across the table. I will respond through counsel. Read it, she said. I did. The second time, it sounded less like someone else's language. A knock came at the door. Caleb opened it before anyone invited him in. His bow tie hung loose now. He held my garment bag in one hand and a cardboard box in the other. Your dad told me to bring these, he said. Your wallet, keys, overnight bag from the groom's room, and, he lifted the box. Stuff from the sweetheart table. They're clearing the chapel. The sweetheart table. 2 chairs. 2 champagne glasses. A card with Mr. and Mrs. Hale printed in Sloane's silver script. Caleb saw the phone, the cloth around my hand, Mara beside the choir robes, and the ring wrapped like evidence. June said through the speaker, "Who just entered?" "My best man," I said. "Then I'll leave you with this. Ethan, find somewhere to stay tonight that is not the marital home, not Sloane's family's property, and not with Mara. Clean boundaries matter, practical ones first." Mara's eyes dropped. Good, I thought, not because I wanted to punish her, because June had said out loud what pain could have turned slippery. Not with Mara. "I have a couch," Caleb said quickly. Mara shook her head. "He needs somewhere people can't turn into a story." Caleb flinched. "My office has a short-term corporate apartment," I said slowly. "For drivers between routes. It's ugly." "Ugly is fine," June said. "Document everything. I'll text you my intake link. Do not post. Do not defend yourself online. Do not let anyone pressure you into a hallway apology." The call ended. The room felt different without her voice. More ours, which made it more dangerous. Caleb set the garment bag on the table. "Man, I don't know what to believe." He said it like a confession. "You know me," I said. "I thought I knew both of you." Mara picked up Sloane's phone. "That's what Sloane was counting on." Caleb glanced at her. "And you? What were you counting on?" She absorbed it without flinching. "Being too late to be blamed," she said. No one had an answer for that. I took off my tuxedo jacket and placed it over the back of a folding chair. The blood on my cuff had dried into a brown crescent. In the cardboard box, the printed Mr. and Mrs. Hale card rested on top of 2 unused champagne flutes. I picked up the card. For a moment, I saw the future Sloane had sold me. A townhouse, pale green cabinets, a joint account, a wife who called my steadiness love until she needed it to be control. Then I tore the card in half. Not dramatically. Just once, down the middle. Caleb started. Mara looked away, giving the act privacy. "I'm going to the apartment," I said. Caleb lifted his keys. "I'll drive." "No, I'll take a rideshare." "You shouldn't be alone." "I won't be alone because I'm lonely," I said. "I'll be alone because I need one clean place this doesn't start wrong." Mara's face changed, but she only nodded. At the door, she handed me the wrapped ring. This time, I took it. Not because I wanted it back. Because it was mine, and that had to matter before anyone decided what it meant. My phone buzzed again as I stepped into the hall. A new email notification filled the screen. From an address I did not know. Subject: Notice regarding defamatory conduct and misappropriated private communications. Sloane had found a lawyer before I found a ride. The corporate apartment smelled like detergent and old takeout. There was a gray couch, a metal coffee table, one lamp with a crooked shade, and a framed print of a highway at sunset that someone had bought in bulk for people passing through. It was not home. That helped. No engagement photos. No cabinet samples. No handwritten list from Sloane taped to the refrigerator. Just a key card, a thin blanket, and a silence nobody had designed for me. I set the wrapped ring on the coffee table and placed my phone beside it. Then both began to feel too loud. The email from Sloane's lawyer was still open on my screen. Notice regarding defamatory conduct and misappropriated private communications. The letter made every fact stand on its head. According to it, I had isolated Sloane, accessed her private communications, intimidated her family, and interfered with shared funds in a manner consistent with coercive financial control. Coercive. That was the new word. Trapped had been for the guests. Unsafe had been for the hallway. Coercive was for paper. June called 5 minutes after I forwarded the email. "Do not panic," she said. "I'm sitting in a corporate apartment with my wedding ring in a paper towel. That is not panic. That is location." I almost laughed. It came out as air. June told me to send bank records, screenshots, the transfer cancellation, and Mara's timeline. She also told me not to speak to Sloane, Linda, Tessa, or anyone posting about the wedding. Posting? June paused. You haven't seen it? Of course I looked. The first post was from Aunt Tessa. No names, but enough details to make names unnecessary. Today, our family watched a brave woman choose safety over appearances. Please remember that calm men can still be dangerous men. The second was worse because it came from Caleb. I never thought I'd say this, but sometimes you realize you didn't know what was happening right in front of you. Listening matters. No names there either. My best man had not accused me. He had only stepped away from me in public and called it wisdom. It was enough. Another notification dropped. A message from my operations director, Paul. Take tomorrow off. We'll reassign the Dalton account until this settles. Not a judgment. Just optics. Optics. At work, I was the man they called when a shipment missed a dock time and everybody else started blaming weather, drivers, software, or God. I fixed routes. I calmed clients. Now I was too messy for a logistics account. My thumb hovered over Caleb's name. I typed, "You were there. You saw what she did." I deleted it. Then the old sentence appeared because pain knew the shortest path through me. I'm sorry if this put you in a hard position. Mi finger rested over send. A soft apology to a friend, a little bridge back to being understood. A sentence that could be screenshotted, forwarded, placed under Tessa's post, and made to look like guilt wearing a clean shirt. I put the phone face down. Then I picked it back up. Mara called before I could pick it back up. I let it ring twice, partly because I wanted to prove I could. When I answered, she did not say my name like she owned any part of it. Are you somewhere safe? The apartment. Alone. Good. Not disappointed. Good. I heard traffic behind her, then a car door shutting. My mother is telling people you stole Sloane's phone. I know. And Sloane's saying you canceled the house transfer to punish her for leaving. I know. Mara breathed out slowly. There's something else. I closed my eyes. No. I need to say it before she does. The lamp buzzed beside the couch. Mara said, I didn't just send the video after Blue. My chest tightened. What did you do? She asked me yesterday to check the wedding group settings. She said she wanted to make sure the photographer could post previews. I made her an admin. I stood up, though there was nowhere to go. She used that to send the video? Yes. You gave her the room. Mara did not defend herself. I thought it was wedding logistics, she said. But I also didn't ask why she needed it that badly. Because asking questions would have cost you. Yes. The word was plain. No ribbon around it. I'm sorry, she said. And I know that doesn't fix the fact that I helped build the place where she put you on trial. Part of me wanted to punish her with silence. Part of me wanted to forgive her so I could stop feeling split open. Neither part deserved to drive. Thank you for telling me, I said. That's very polite. It's all I have that won't make things worse. She was quiet for a moment. Don't let polite turn into surrender. My phone vibrated against my palm. A message preview appeared at the top of the screen. Sloane, tell Mara to stop acting clean. She knows what she deleted. I read it twice. Mara, I said, what did you delete? Traffic noise vanished on her end. One draft, she said. The apartment seemed to lose heat. You told me there were drafts. There were. I didn't delete the one you saw. That's not what I asked. Mara's voice went smaller. 3 weeks ago, Sloane wrote one that mentioned the house fund directly. She said if you didn't agree to put it under her name, she would tell people you were using money to keep her. I told her it sounded cruel. She panicked and asked me to delete it because she said she was ashamed. And you did. Yes. The apartment seemed colder. Not love. Not betrayal exactly. Delay. The shape of someone almost doing the right thing, then leaving you to bleed because almost felt safer. I can't talk to you right now, I said. I understand. No, I said, sharper than I expected. Don't be noble about it. Every time you waited, she got another tool. Mara took the hit audibly. A breath. A swallow. You're right. I said I can't talk. Okay. The call ended. My phone felt heavier after. Sloan sent another message. Please, Ethan. I don't want lawyers. I don't want posts. I don't want money. I just want you to say you understand why I was scared. Then, one sentence and this stops. I sat on the edge of the couch. My thumb opened the reply box. I typed the sentence she had been chasing since the chapel. I'm sorry I made you feel trapped. It looked so small on the screen. Small enough to send. Small enough to destroy me. The cursor blinked. Then another message appeared. Not from Sloan. From Mara. A screenshot. Sloan had sent it to her by mistake. If he apologizes in writing, we can use it. Tell Mom not to push too hard now. He folds when people sound disappointed. Under it, another line arrived. Sorry. That was meant for Linda. I stared at the screen until the words stopped moving. Then I deleted my apology, letter by letter. The corporate apartment was still ugly. The ring was still wrapped in a paper towel. My best man had still stepped away from me. My work had still benched me for optics. Mara had still deleted a draft that might have saved me sooner. But Sloan had finally made one mistake she had not polished first. I took a screenshot. Then I sent it to June. Not to Mara. Not to Caleb. Not to my father. To June. And for the first time that day, I did not try to make the room easier for anyone who had helped set it on fire. The meeting was not supposed to happen at the chapel. June wanted neutral ground. Sloan's lawyer wanted everything by email. Linda wanted nothing written down unless it made her daughter look brave. Pastor Reed solved it by accident. He called to say the florist needed the aisle cleared, the caterer needed the fellowship hall emptied, and someone had to decide what to do with 200 white chair covers before Monday morning service. So, at 10 the next day, we sat in the room behind the chapel where children usually ate cookies after baptisms. The cross on the wall was pale wood. The coffee was bad. The chairs were folded metal. No one looked redeemed. June sat to my left with a yellow pad. My father sat behind me, not beside me. Caleb stood near the coffee urn. Aunt Tessa took the corner closest to the door. Linda came in first. Then Sloan. She wore jeans, a cream sweater, and no makeup except mascara, which made the choice feel more deliberate than bare skin should have. Her lawyer, Victor Crane, placed a folder on the table. Mara arrived last. She did not sit beside me. She sat near Pastor Reed, with both hands around a paper cup she never drank from. That was the cleanest kindness she could offer. Victor opened his folder. My client is willing to avoid further public escalation if Mr. Hale returns her phone, ceases dissemination of private materials, restores access to the joint funds, and provides a written statement acknowledging that his conduct caused Miss Quinn to feel unsafe. June uncapped her pen. No. Victor blinked. Counselor. No, June said. But thank you for organizing the demands. Sloane's eyes moved past June to me. There it was. The old route. Not through facts. Through me. Ethan, she said softly, this doesn't have to become uglier. I placed the wrapped ring on the table. The paper towel had been replaced with a small evidence bag June brought from her office. It made the ring look less holy and more honest. I'm going to speak once, I said. Then June can handle the rest. Victor leaned back. If this is an accusation, it's a timeline. June slid a printed sheet in front of me, but I did not read from it yet. At 9:31 yesterday morning, I said, Sloan sent Mara a photo of my wedding ring on satin with the message, Symbolism matters. Linda made a disgusted sound. This is disgusting. Picking through private. No, my father said. One word. Rough from disuse. Linda turned on him. Excuse me? Robert Hale did not lower his eyes. Let him finish. It still landed. At 9:50, too, I said. Sloan told Mara I would look calm and that calm was how I made people think she was crazy. At 10:14, she texted Blue. At 10:21, the video went to the wedding group chat. Sloan gave a tired laugh. You make it sound like I planned a crime. I make it sound like you planned a story. Her eyes sharpened. There. Not the crying bride. Not the wounded survivor. The editor. Victor tapped the folder. A distressed woman preparing a statement before leaving an unhealthy relationship is not evidence of deceit. No, I said. But preparing my apology before I gave one is. June slid the printed draft across the table. Victor reached for it. Sloane reached faster. Then stopped. Everyone saw it. Her hand froze halfway over the page, fingers bent, as if her body had moved before her performance caught up. June looked at Victor. Please advise your client not to grab exhibits. Victor's jaw worked once. Sloane sat back, smiling late. I don't know what that is. I turned one page. You wrote, if Ethan apologizes, save it. If he gets angry, say this is why I waited. If he says nothing, tell Mom silence is how he punishes me. Caleb shifted near the coffee urn. Sloane looked at him, not me. Caleb, you know how quiet he gets. You've seen it. She kept trying to manage witnesses instead of answering truth. Caleb's face burned red. I posted something, he said. I shouldn't have. I did not rescue him from the discomfort. Sloane turned to Mara. And you? You sent the video. Mara's fingers tightened around the paper cup. She opened her mouth. I spoke before she could. Mara will answer for what she did when June asks her. She is not your shield today. Sloane's face changed. For one clean second, she hated me without decoration. Then the mask came back. She's not your hero either, Sloane said. No, I said. She isn't. She deleted one of your drafts, I said. She made you an admin. She sent the first video. She waited too long. Mara's eyes stayed on the table. And she told me the truth before you could use her silence again. Sloane leaned forward. Who gave you the draft? Everyone stopped. Victor closed his eyes for half a second. June wrote something on her pad. I let the question sit because it had done more work than I could have done by explaining it. Then I said, which draft? Sloane's mouth opened. No sound came. The smile arrived late and wrong. I meant whatever Mara is claiming. No, I said. You asked who gave me the draft before I said how I had it. Victor touched her wrist under the table. She pulled away from him. That was the crack widening. Sloane turned to Linda. Mom, say something. Linda was pale now. Still loyal. Still frightened of the wrong thing. You all don't understand what he's like, she said, but it came out smaller than before. I took out my phone and placed it on the table. Screen up. If he apologizes in writing, we can use it. Tell Mom not to push too hard now. He folds when people sound disappointed. Linda's hand went to her throat. For the first time since the video, she did not cry. Sloane stood. This is exactly what I mean, she said, voice rising. He gathers things. He waits. He makes you think he's patient, but he's building a case. I stood too. Not fast. Not to tower. Just enough to stop receiving the performance from below. I built a life with you, I said. You built an exit that needed me guilty. Her eyes shone. Anger, not tears. You never fought for me. I fought the way you trained me to fight. Quietly. Carefully. By making your life easier so you wouldn't call mine a cage. She shook her head. That's not fair. No, I said. What wasn't fair was taking my calm, my money, my silence, my ring, and arranging them into a man people could fear. No one moved. You left, I said. Stop trying to manage the room you abandoned. Sloane's hand struck the table. The coffee cups jumped. There, she said. There he is. But nobody leaned back from me. Nobody gasped. Nobody gave her the fear she had reached for. That was the moment she lost the room. Not because everyone loved me now, or because truth had made things clean. She lost it because, for once, my refusal to apologize looked like a boundary. Victor gathered his folder. We will continue through counsel. June nodded. Please do. Sloane waited for Linda to move first. Linda did not. Mara did not raise her head until Sloane had walked past her. Their shoulders nearly touched. Neither sister spoke. After the door closed, the fellowship hall remained full of people who had believed too quickly and now had to stand inside the cost of that. Caleb came toward me. "I'm sorry," he said. The old Ethan would have helped him. I picked up the ring instead. "I heard you," I said. "I'm not ready to make you feel better." He nodded, ashamed. My father stepped closer, then stopped a few feet away. "I should have stood up sooner," he said. The sentence was not enough. It was a beginning anyway. June slid the printed timeline into her folder. "Good," she said. "Now, we make sure the paper tells the same truth you just did." Across the room, Mara set her untouched coffee in the trash. She did not come to me. She only opened the door and held it for everyone leaving. Witness, not rescue. I walked out with my ring in my pocket, Sloane's story behind me, and my own voice still unfamiliar in my mouth. 3 months later, the ring was no longer in a paper towel. June gave it back to me in a small plastic evidence bag after the settlement conference ended. Sloane kept her name off any public accusation. I kept the house fund that had come from my paychecks. Nobody called it justice because lawyers did not use words that clean. The wedding group chat stayed muted on my phone. I never deleted it. Caleb asked once, carefully, if keeping it made things worse. "I don't know yet," I told him. He nodded, and for once I did not smooth the answer into forgiveness. My father changed more slowly. Every Sunday evening, my father called at 7. Once, after a full minute of static and breathing, he said, "I thought peace meant not making noise." I held a pressed white petal from the florist's final envelope and watched it loosen at the edge. "Sometimes," I said, "sometimes it means nobody is allowed to scream over the truth." He said, "I'm learning." It was not enough. It was something. Temporary became long enough for me to buy one decent chair, then a lamp, then a second mug I pretended was for guests. Mara did not come over for the first month. That was her rule, not mine. She sent documents to June. She gave a statement. She admitted the draft she deleted. The admin access. The lie she had helped with after the wine bar. Her mother stopped speaking to her except through messages that began with, "You have no idea what you've done." Mara did not forward those to me. "I'm not making you the place where I put my family," she said when we met once outside June's office. It was raining. She held no umbrella. Water darkened the shoulders of her coat. I wanted to offer mine. I did not. Not because kindness was dangerous, because timing was. So I said, "Coffee?" She looked at the street, then at me. "Tomorrow," she said. I laughed once, quietly. Not because it was funny. Because "Ask Me Tomorrow" had become the shape of something honest between us. The next day, she met me at a diner 2 exits from the chapel. Neutral ground. Bad pancakes. Clean windows. She remembered I took my coffee with 1 sugar and no cream. I remembered she tore napkins into straight lines when she was nervous. We did not talk about love. We talked about lease rates, Sloane's lawyer, her mother's silence, Caleb's bad post, my father's Sunday calls, and whether a person could be sorry without trying to be forgiven right away. Somewhere between the second cup and the check, Mara said, "I still hate that I waited." "You should," I said. She nodded. Then she paid for her own coffee before I could reach for the bill. That felt more intimate than if she had let me. By spring, I moved into a small apartment above a hardware store. The kitchen window faced a brick wall. I liked it. The first time Mara came over, she brought a cardboard box with my name written on the top in June's handwriting. "Final documents," she said. Inside were copies of the settlement, screenshots, the timeline, and the ring in a small black box. Not a velvet wedding box. A plain storage box. Mara set it on the kitchen table. She did not slide it toward me. "You get to decide where it goes," she said. The sentence landed gently, and still found the bruise. I opened the box. The ring looked smaller than I remembered. Just a band of gold with a date engraved inside. A date that had once seemed like a beginning and later became evidence. My hand did not shake this time, but it did hesitate. Mara saw and stepped back toward the counter, giving me the room without leaving it. Outside, a car passed too fast through a puddle. Water hissed against the curb. I closed the box and placed it on the windowsill, not hidden, not centered. Not gone, Mara said. No. Not in charge either. I touched the edge of the box once. No. She smiled then. Small. Careful. Unclaimed. The kettle began to whistle on the stove, and I turned it off before it could scream. Mara laughed under her breath. What? Nothing, she said. You still manage every sound in a room. The words could have hurt. They almost did. Then she added, but now you know when to stop. I took down the second mug. The one I had pretended was for guests. She noticed. Of course she did. Neither of us said anything about it. That was how it started, if it started at all. Not with a kiss in the wreckage. Not with a rescue. Not with her becoming the reward for what I survived. It started with one person placing a painful thing on a table and trusting me to decide whether to touch it. Some wounds do not disappear because someone tells the truth. I still tense when a phone buzzes too many times in a row. I still dislike rooms where everyone turns at once. I still rewrite simple messages before sending them, checking for ways my softness could be used against me. But I do not apologize for taking up space anymore. Not quickly. Not automatically. Not just because someone sounds disappointed. And when the group chat finally lit up again one evening by accident, I did not open it. I turned the phone face down. Across the table, Mara kept reading the label on a jar of cheap pasta sauce like she had not noticed. But she reached over and moved the black box 2 inches farther from the center of the table. Not away from me. Just out of the way of dinner. Some people do not trap you with locked doors. They do it by writing a version of you that everyone else can believe. And sometimes, the person who helps you survive is not the one who fixes your life. It is the person who finally says, no, that is not what happened. If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments, have you ever had to fight for the truth of your own life? And if you want more stories like this, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.